transparent. If you didn't know, now you know. So sit back and unwind as we bring the vibe and a little bit of glorious sunshine to your heart, soul, and mind. Your lovely host, Hot Donna, will be with you in just a few moments. But while you wait, go ahead and set an atmosphere of peace in your space. If you can, cut the lights down low, get your hydration on, vibrations on. Cause tonight, you're about to receive some delicious food for your soul. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? It's about to get hot. You are indeed the one and only place to be this evening. We appreciate you for joining us, and in just a few moments, we about to turn the heat all the way up. That's right. It's about to go down right now on Hot Topics with Donna. Show your virtual love by smashing that thumbs up and heart icon as we
Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Hey, Gina. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Robert. Hey, Lynetta. I don't know what happened to my song. It's just like, bam, cut off. But that's okay. We're going to get started anyway. So tonight I am interviewing a beautiful soul. And so we'll divulge into that. But I am your host, Donna Taylor, with Hot Topics with Donna, here live on DTV. So, yesterday I talked about the 5 love languages, and so today I'm going to have a guest on, and we're going to divulge into a lot of different things. She's an author, she's a mentor, she's a pastor, she's an entrepreneur, and so the word that I chose for her today, and not only for her, it's for me and you, is trust. And it says, it's a familiar passage. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. And that came from Psalms 3:5-6. And so I'm going to read you a little something. It says, there can be seasons where things don't seem to work out in your favor and life seems harder than normal. But it could be issues related to relationships or even family dynamics. When things are tough and in these areas, it tends to greatly affect our feelings, our mindset, and even our trust in God. We might feel like we're in the desert all alone. The good news is that God knows where we are. We are not lost. Many times we are just walking through difficult situations. The Lord has allowed us to experience those difficulties to test what's in our heart. He is refining and maturing us. Though it may feel he is far away, he's actually close, molding and shaping us like potter does with clay. And so this is what we have to do. We have to trust our Father no matter what we go through, even if it looks hard, even when we don't even understand it, we still must trust the Father. And so that is trust. And that is the word that I chose for you and my guest tonight. Are you trusting him with everything, even when you don't understand? And if you don't understand, just say, Lord, help me understand. What are you trying to teach me in my challenges? What are you trying to teach me when I'm in the wilderness? What are you trying to teach me? But it doesn't matter what you go through. You must stay in the process and trust that he's going to bring you out. However he brings you out, remember, you're going to be great. You're going to be amazing. So you have to trust the process. Excuse excuse me. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and send my guest an invite. And guys, you just chime in, okay? So hold on, let me invite her. Okay, I have invited her. But yeah, we have to trust him through the process, no matter what it looks like. Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for tuning in and joining Hot Topics with Donna. I'm truly thankful and grateful that you said yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and so I don't know if you heard the word that I chose today for you is trust. And I chose that word for you because just reading some of your stuff and even with your book, it's about trusting God even in our dark places. And I find that even being a Christian myself, sometimes it's hard to trust him in a dark place because we want answers. We want to know, like, Lord, what are you trying to say? But I need it, quickly. And I tell people, it's not microwave anymore. We don't got these air fryers where we can do things quick. And so now we want our Father to do things quickly. And so for you, before you introduce yourself, how do you trust our Father in everything?
Well, I find it as an interesting, I feel like it was prophetic for you to choose that word for me, because I've been in a season, and I'm going to talk about it tonight. Okay. But I trust him just by not worrying.
Right.
Literally sat with my first pastor. She's about 90 years old now. And she said, I don't worry about anything, and I trust him in everything. And so when she dropped that with me, I just took it on. And every night we leave it. We just leave it with him, right? Because he literally says, cast all your cares on me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It really says, we don't even have to be like King James Version. It's just like this. Let me have it. I'm going to take care of it.
Yes.
You know, and you relax. And that's just how I trust him.
Mm-hmm. But why is it so hard? Because I feel sometimes we give him, how do I want to say, like the little things we try to fix, like the little minute things we try to fix. But then these big life challenges, we be like, okay, here, you can have it, Lord. But like you said, he wants everything, even the littlest thing. He wants us to trust him without doubting, and we have a hard time. And I had to come to a place where I had to really trust him through my own life challenges, because I knew that no man, no friends, no mom, they couldn't get me through these life challenges, because what if they disappoint? Then what?
And I believe really, Donna, that's what brings us to that place, is when we have to get in those situations, or those life challenges, as you call them, where we are faced with that time where nobody can rescue us.
Yes.
Nobody can do anything, and your hands can't do anything. No. Literally, we don't trust God with the things that our hands can do.
Right.
We just believe that in our own strength we can do it. So, why do we need to trouble him with that? But we're not troubling him. He really wants us to turn it over to him.
Absolutely. And so tell people who you are, where you reside. I got my little notes, and so we're just going to just divulge. And I just really love the way our conversation is going. And I thank God that I have a spirit to love people. And that's just who I am. Some people be like, well, no, I'm going to leave people alone. But we have to love, especially in this season of our lives. We need to love people, because people are hurting. They're lost. And they just need a kind word, a kind smile. Just to say, I see you. You matter.
That's right. Everybody needs that. Even the strong people, right?
Yes.
In this season need to know that they matter. So I'm Dr. Rashida Jackson. I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am originally from Duplin County, North Carolina, a little town called Kenansville.
Okay.
Big shout out to my hometown. I lived there until I was 20 years old, and I moved to South Florida. I left Kenansville and went to Miami. So it was a huge change and a huge contrast, but that's who I am. I have 3 beautiful children and 1 granddaughter, and lots of, and I have adopted children. I have bonus children, extra children, and all of those people as well. So I don't want anybody to feel left out when they watch this video, but I love all of you, my spiritual children, adopted ones, all of you that call me mom, I love you.
Yes.
So that is that's me. That's who I am, and I do have a genuine love for people.
Me too.
And that's it.
Well, we're going to talk about your, and you said you building an empire one wall at a time, motivating others is my superpower.
Yes. Building it. And where do you want me to start?
I want to talk about your, I don't know if you have a Be Free University. Is that,
Yes.
That's one of your business?
Yes, it is. I have a partner in that business.
Okay.
And Mr. George Howard Jr. We have we founded Be Free University. It is 1 year old. We were working on it for 2.5 years, and we launched it January 15th of last year. So we just celebrated our 1 year birthday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we are literally still working, building the walls. It's a startup, a different concept. Our mission statement is we are here to empower, equip, and educate people to build wealth and live life on their own terms. So the university is centered around building wealth and establishing legacy. And I always have to say that because people get caught up in the, I want to learn how to build wealth, but we address all areas. We address wills, trust, estates. We address credit, like all of the things that are important for the whole man. So that's my marketplace.
Okay.
It's Be Free University.
And so is it, I know you have a 10-week financial boot camp going on right now.
Yes.
And so is everything virtual, or do you physically have a building that you that students can attend?
We are completely digital. Everything is virtual. Everything is online. We actually were noted when we launched for being the first wholly African-American owned wealth-based university that was completely digital. So we have everything is online. We do have Be Free University 10-week boot camp, and it's absolutely for the free. There's a lot of amazing information in there. So everybody's welcome to join that Facebook group.
Oh, cool. And so how has starting this up been challenging for you all?
Oh, really? So you have George and myself, who both have separate businesses as well. He's a real estate guru within himself, and I've had a tax and business consulting service for 15 years, and we decided we're going to do a startup corporation.
Right.
How has it been challenging? In every way possible, from personnel to product, making sure that the product is correct, customer service, making sure that people are having an amazing experience.
Right.
It has been a major undertaking, but I don't think I would trade it for anything in the world. So to say how, I think that every aspect of business, we've been challenged in every area, and that's not to we're building something huge, right? And it's not to deter anybody, because I am a proponent of business ownership.
Yes.
But doing a startup corporation is a major difference in than starting a small business.
And that's when you truly have to trust the plan.
You got to trust the Lord too. We've had to call on him a lot.
Exactly. And so how long are your classes usually?
Well, the classes are, so we have a ubiquitous learning platform. That means that you can learn from any place, anytime, on any device.
Okay.
So you actually have the ability to learn at your own pace.
Oh,
what
great.
we have that's unique is that you can go in and you can take a course at your own pace. You learn the process of credit. You learn wills, trusts, and estates, and you create your own documents through the process. So it really depends on what you're going to do, and what you need to do, and how long it's going to take you to do it. We also, what makes us unique is that we have what we call Be Free TV, and that is where our coaches go live and they train you live, kind of like we're having a conversation. Where they have live classrooms where they are actually walking through life application of what they're teaching. We've taken it down for building another wall, building another wall, but the courses are still there, and the freedom, what we call the financial freedom department is still there. So all of the things that need to be addressed. We also address minimizing taxes. So we're trying to, you know, I don't want to say trying, we're going to set 1 million families free financially, because we understand that the distraction of wealth is keeping not only the kingdom from moving forward, but it's keeping our people from being in a better place, mind, body, and soul.
Yes. And so how did you all come up with this idea, you know, or vision, if you will, to start this university to help free our people, to help give them knowledge, to grow, to be financially set so they can pass this on to their children and their children's children?
And I'm going to be transparent, okay? Because that's our way. Mr. Howard and I were literally traveling the country teaching for free. He and I both on our own dime were going into ministries, we're going into community buildings, teaching small groups of people a concept of freedom, right? And we started to venture off into the trading world, like learning about cryptocurrency and trading and doing all these things. Well, he and I went into a company, and we were going to all of the events, major events, small events, everything, just absorbing knowledge. And we were sitting in a major event in Dallas. I believe we were in Dallas or Houston, one of the two. But we were in a major event, and literally Mr. Howard is a visionary and I'm an executor. So it's kind of like yin and yang with us. So we're sitting there and I'm just listening to the late Bob Proctor, who was on stage, and I'm just listening and absorbing all of the information. And he is writing in this notebook. He has his head down. He's just writing, scribbling. And I'm looking at him like, bruh, you know, like, what are you doing? Like, do you hear what he's saying? Like, you need to be, you know, you need to get these nuggets so that we can take it and work with it. We were not working on Be Free at that time. But we looked around. He started looking around. I was like, what is he doing? And literally, he said to me, where are the Black people? Happy Black History Month. This is a Black History Month.
Well, you know, that's what this is about, keeping it honest, open, and transparent.
This is it. Like, all of the corporate people were out on stage and they were doing making all this hoopla, and there were no Black people on the stage. None. Not even, and I hate to say it this way, not a token, right? But when you looked around in the audience, there was a sea of African American people. A sea of us, like, I mean thousands, as far as you can see. And we were up close because we had purchased VIP tickets, right? So we were up close, I mean, like maybe 3 rows back from the stage, but there were thousands, probably 5, 6, 7,000 people in this event. He looked at me, he said, there is no representation. He said, this is modern day slavery. He looked at me and those were his words. And he said, we can do this. And I just looked at him and I was like, okay. I had no idea what he was talking about at the moment. Had no idea what I was getting into.
But
had
you
no
said,
idea
okay,
how many walls we would have to build and how many times we would have to take walls down and put them back up.
That's right.
Had no idea about the sacrifice, but he looked at me and he said, we can do this. And so I think that is really one of the major things, Donna, that continues to put us in a place of trust. One, because he looked at me and he said, God gave me a vision. And when he and I met originally, we both were on the same path, and that was to set people free financially, to tell them what we had gone through and what we had learned in the process. But in that moment in time, in that sea of African American people who were shouting and screaming, and the energy was so high, they were cheering on this stage full of you know, our cohorts, right? And
yeah.
it was not until he said it to me until it just all clicked and it made sense. We have made that community the millionaires that they are.
Right.
And we very seldomly come back and do things ourselves, or we very seldomly support what, you know, an African American person is doing. We call it Black business, right? But that's literally what it was. And we prayed, and he said, God said, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And we've been on the mission ever since.
That's awesome, because, you know, we as African Americans, and it's bad to say, but I'm just going to say it, we think wealth is having these big homes, having these fancy cars, wearing all these name brand clothes, but yet and still, we're still poor spiritually, mentally, and financially, because we want to show all these other stuff, and there's nothing wrong with having those things. But if we haven't positioned ourselves like you all are trying to do, what's the point of having these things? Because those things, we can't leave a legacy to our children, our grandchildren, because I can have a mansion and my kids can say, forget that, I'm gonna sell this stuff soon as she, you know, we bury her. And so we need to start building legacies, like you all are working towards building legacies, so we can leave our children and our grandchildren and their children stability.
And that's
freedom.
Scripture, right? That's just scripture. If we say we're following Christ, then we're following him in scripture. And the scripture says that a good man, and I explained that man is not gender specific in the Bible, right? It says that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So when I look at my brand new granddaughter, who's just 3 weeks old, I look at her.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I know that I am working and building so that she will know my name. Right?
Yes.
So that she will know that her grandmother worked to put some things in place for her. We just, you know, Donna, we were reading because, you know, right, leaders are readers, right? And so in reading an article just recently, they were talking about the wealth gap and why why the wealth gap continues, why people have more money, but the wealth valuation for African American people is going in reverse. Everybody else is on the uptick. Everybody, Caucasian, Mexican, you know, Latino, Hispanic, you know, Asian Americans, every other group of people are on the uptick, but we are losing by 14%. And it's exactly what you said, because we are consumers. Yes. And when I think about the word consumer, not just the buying of the nice things, because we do that and they bait us and we buy it, right?
Yes.
But when I think about the word consume, I think about eat.
Yes.
And we eat everything.
Everything.
So we don't need.
They put it out, they make it appealing to us, and we jump on it. We jump on it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you build the wealth, you can have those things.
Exactly.
You can have those things. And the thing about it is, when you build the wealth and you have those things, you're not you're not just proud of the things. You're more proud of what you have accomplished and what you have done and what you have built and the legacy you put in place. You know, the Bentley and the Fendi bag or the Chanel bag, all those things, we have those things. They don't matter.
No,
they don't matter.
And you know, and it's funny because we get those things, and you know, what's the point of me having a nice Michael Kors bags, and no disrespect or whatever, but I don't even have $5 or $20 in the bag, but I have this thing on my arm now for showcase, and then I'm going home and saying, why did I spend this? Because they make it appealing to us, and we go do it. And then what we do is we inherit it, then we push it on to our children, then they push it on to their children, and then the cycle becomes everybody in this family are becoming consumers with this stuff.
And that's exactly what it is. It's passing on a mindset.
Yes.
And passing on habits and processes, right? And it does not stop unless you and I wake up and say it stops right here.
Right.
You need to understand the value of what you have. It doesn't matter if you got a bag that you bought at Rainbow. If you got some money in it. You understand? If you got some money in it. But for me to have a Chanel purse and I can't go to McDonald's and buy a meal is
you better
disgrace.
You better
I don't eat at McDonald's, and this is not an endorsement for them.
No,
but
yeah.
I just use.
But it's just real talk. Because if you all and your partner are providing this service so people can be educated and free, there is no better feeling to be educated and free.
That's it.
Than
And
to be educated and still in bondage.
Listen, people have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of degrees and have no money right now.
No.
Simply because those degrees that we pay for don't teach us how to manage our money. Everything that we have, you know, and I hate to be on this pro-Black thing, but it's where we are, right? Everything that we have partaken of in this country has been systematically set up for us to fail. There is proven, right? The education system is proven. Why do we go to school in this country? And that's anybody of any color or denomination or creed. I don't care where you come from or where you went. Why is it that you go to school for 4 years to get a degree only to not be able to get a job or to make a median income while you're paying back hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt?
Yes.
Why? For what reason? And then they don't tell us the secrets. So what we are doing as African American people and owning this is we took the concept. Hey Terrence, we took the concept directly from Damon John, for us by us. Everybody is welcome because the knowledge is for everybody. We created it so that our people can get an understanding. We don't want people to just come in and, you know, we don't perform services. You've got to learn this thing yourself.
Right. You have to work it yourself.
You've got to work it yourself. I'm not going to sit down with you and repair your credit. I'm going to teach you about it. And I'm going to show you how to restore it, because anything that is restored will be kept, but anything that is repaired can be broken again. So it's with an understanding. This knowledge is what our children need. Instead of us pushing them through another system, we need to give them an understanding of who they are and what they have in their hands that they can utilize.
And you know, I'm in education, and I was, because my oldest son is 33, and I remember when they were in school, you know, how we had the life skill classes, you know, teaching them, you know, budgeting and all this kind of stuff. And now I'm at high school, and I was like, why don't they teach them that? Because they don't have any knowledge of how to survive. All they have is the knowledge, like we said, being a consumer, getting more stuff. But when they kick them out in the real world, their credit is already going to be messed up a year after they complete high school.
Because they can't afford, you know, one of the I can't think of his name, but I give him credit if I remember. One of the people that I was listening to, and he's a financial guru, he was saying, parents, how many of you would give your 17-year-old $100,000 loan? And everybody's looking around like, not me. The U.S. government does it every day. They don't have the ability or the life skills or the information or the knowledge to pay it back or to even learn how to manage it. And it's so terribly sad. And we look at our situation. Many of us, we didn't learn until we had to learn it when we had to fix it or we had to get out of it, right?
Exactly.
Because our parents didn't know. My family's thing was, if you can't pay for it, don't buy it, right? If you can't pay cash for it, don't buy it. Exactly. You know, my family is not, they're not the credit people, right? But they didn't understand that credit was what is a leverage tool. It's a tool for leverage that you need if you ever want to progress. You want to build a business, you want to build a home, all of these things, you have to leverage that. So you can't just pay cash for everything, but these are life skills that we have to absolutely, we got to transfer them.
And so what is your application process to be a part of Be Free University?
There's no application process. $29.99 to sign up right now through March 31st. You go to befree.university and you log in and you sign up, and all of the courses, all of the services are there. So literally, and I have to make it plain, literally right now, someone that needs to complete a healthcare directive, someone that needs to complete a will, someone that needs to restore their credit and learn about credit can do that for $29.99.
Yeah. I might be going to sign up myself.
There's no criteria to meet. No criteria to meet. We're just on a mission. And anyone that, and seriously, people might not have $29.99 right now. Go get in the 10-week boot camp. They're going live tonight. There's other recordings in there. I'm talking about taxes. We're talking about money mindset. We're talking about budgeting. We're talking about income increase, adjusting your W-4s. Like, our people they suffer for the lack of knowledge.
Amen. And you and your partner, y'all are clearly setting it up so everybody wins.
Everybody.
So everybody that's on here tonight, Be Free University is giving you a chance to be free. Whether you want to purchase anything, but just to be free when the day comes that you say, I want to do this, but you will have the knowledge. You will have the knowledge, and we will put it in the comment section. But this is a great opportunity for you, me, and whoever else want to be financially secure in what they're doing and know what they're doing.
That's
because
right.
when you're hands-on, then you're going to get the information. It's going to be meaningful to you instead of somebody holding your hand and say, okay, this is what you do next. Because when it's tangible, then you'll work for it.
When you got to work, when you have to work for it, you got to go through the pain for it, you are not apt to mess it up. Because you remember what it took to get through it. And I think that's one of the most important concepts. And when we looked at it, could we have opened a credit repair company? Of course we could have.
Yeah.
But why do that? Because there's not, it's not proven to be, it's fruitful for the people that are selling the product. And I ain't knocking anybody selling the product. But we set people up for failure if they don't have the income, they don't have the financial knowledge, they don't have the money psychology to manage it.
Right.
So we get them an 800 credit score, they go buy a house and a car.
And they right back where they
started. Right back because they're in a debt that they cannot pay.
Right.
So our question is, are you living within your means? Or are you walking around driving a Benz with a Chanel bag and a big house that you can't eat, and you eating ramen noodles? Nothing wrong with that, because if that's what you want to eat.
But see, that's the mentality that we have, and then we try to showboat. But then when we get behind closed doors, we're thinking, Lord, how am I going to survive? And then He's saying, well, look at that right there you bought. Did you really need that? And sometimes I have been convicted. Like, I have been in like New York and Company, and I never forget.
Oh, that's my store girl.
When my late husband was living, I had went to the mall and I saw these jeans. They were like $80. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get them. As soon as I got up there, He's like, put those back. And I did it twice because I'm like, maybe I'm just not hearing Him right. Maybe that's just me saying, I know I didn't need it. And so I went back again, same pair of jeans, and I picked it up again. And the Holy Spirit said, put it back. Put it back.
He deals with us about certain things. That's absolutely right. And we just gotta, I don't know how we're going to get through. And really, if we had started this mission maybe 10 years ago, before social media was so popular, and they had and people had the access to all of the people that actually have money, and they weren't trying to live up to what they are presented with, we may be a lot further along. Does not deter the mission, because the people that want it are going to get it.
Amen to that.
And my thing
Yeah.
is just stop eating everything. Stop consuming. Black people, we cannot be like termites. We can't. We can't.
Girl, no,
We
no.
can't, because a famine is coming.
Yes, yes.
And you can't, and a famine is coming, and you cannot eat that Chanel bag.
Nope. Mm-mm. And
You
will
can't-
you be ready?
And will you be ready? There's a famine coming on the land, and we know that. The Bible is
Yes.
literally
Yes.
revealing itself.
Yes.
We're literally living
Yes.
in the times that we see. It's not a mystery to anybody. There's nothing hidden, nothing. And we've got to be ready.
And you know, and if people don't think that is true, look at last week. We were in 70-degree weather, and you have flowers that's blooming, and you know y'all should be asleep somewhere.
Out of season.
Yeah.
Out of season.
But that is so great. And I'm gonna post it in there. And so I went on your post February 8th, and I talk about this all the time because it resonated with me. It says, instead of being ashamed of what you've been through, be proud of what you've overcome. You are a winner every time. And when I saw that, that used to be me. That used to so be me, because of what I used to do. And I can tell people, and I'm honest, open, transparent, when I was out there sinning and doing what I wanted to do, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. People can get saved and be like, oh, well, no, I did. But when he saved me and he kept me, because everything I was going through, he could have took me out then, but I knew I had a purpose, but I was running from my purpose. But when he delivered me, I was like, who am I to allow others to make Donna feel ashamed for what he's done? That Donna that used to live here, she's been evicted.
Yes. And that's all of us. We all go through it. And that was maybe me last year, because you break through different levels, right?
Right.
Different things. You get past one thing. I got past the fact that I had my first child at 16. That is not anything that I can talk about that all day.
Right.
I'm over it. But I could not get past the fact, I couldn't get past the fact that I had a failed marriage.
Right.
I couldn't, there were things that come up that you just have to deal with. And you're absolutely right. After God has brought you through it, why be ashamed about it? And I literally went through a very interesting transition just on last year about that, about being okay with who I am, who I have been, and what my past says. Because generally in the church world, we teach people, oh, your past doesn't define you, don't worry about it. But it's your past who makes you who you are.
Yes.
And you have the ability to be okay with who you are. And it just took one special person coming into my life to say, it does not matter. I'm okay. Just be honest with me. Tell me about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I'm okay with that, because I love you. And you need those people that come and say, I love you. You can go to jail. I'm gonna put money on your books. And I love you for who you are. But be honest with me and tell me, and we break through. And there might be even something right now that's deep down inside that we don't know. We have to be okay with that, because being saved and being brought to the point of the cross is a process.
Yes, it is.
It's not, oh, I got saved, and I've been saved a long time, over 20 years now. And I look back and you just, it's been a process. It's an ever evolving process. And that's where, we have to be okay with that. And that's absolutely right, Donna. Like there's always going to be something, childhood scars, conversations, things that people have said to you, things that you have gone through. They come back and they rear themselves up. But it's not until you can outwardly say and admit it, right? Yes. That you are able to overcome it.
Exactly. And I feel, and I don't know if you felt that way, once we, take our mask off and start facing these insecurities, these things that's deep in the crevices that we bury because we don't want people to know these things. But once we have a knowledge of who our Father is, and he's saying, daughter, I love you. I was there when you was 16 having a baby. I was there when you was doing whatever you wanted to do. I was still there, and I was still loving you because I knew you was going to come here
to this
but,
point.
and we get so caught up in like, what if? But I'm like you. If you love me, you would love me with all of my shortcomings, all of my faults, and still say, you know what? That wasn't good, chick, but I still love you. What can I do to help you?
That's absolutely right. I have had, you know, and I've had more than one person, but one person very close to me that was exactly the words. I want to help you because I want you to be healed and I want you to be whole. And you will always, you know, we have to just accept that it's an evolving process, and you will always go through those things as things arise, because we're not perfect, right? We're striving
every day
to be right, to get there, but we're not there. And there's so much of the story that's still left untold.
Yes. And so being a pastor, and even with your life challenges, how did that affect you walking into your purpose and walking into the calling of ministry?
Ministry is administering your story for the life-altering change of somebody else. What I clearly understood when I knew I was called is that I've always been called, number one. Right. I've always been called. If the story be told, 4 days old, the first place I ever went was to the altar. That was my grandma's thing, right?
Right.
But knowing that I was called, this is the other thing that helps me go back to our key word tonight, trust.
Right.
Knowing that I was called was simply looking at all of the life challenges and saying, I'm going through this for somebody else.
Right.
Why can I stand in a room and encourage 5,000 women? Because most of them can identify with some area that I've gone through.
Amen.
Teenage pregnancy, divorce, marriage, divorce, career, business. Somewhere there's a message that touches everybody, and that's what ministry really is. And so God himself makes it easy. And I did a post a couple of days ago, because I've been busy, not really active on social media, but it simply was talking about the fact that we go through these storms to learn to lean on him. And when we learn to lean on him, we come out and we're able to share the storm.
Right.
Because we're going to do it to help somebody else. It's all for somebody else. Everything that Donna has gone through has been for somebody else. You don't know the day, the hour, the time. You could be sitting having a cup of coffee, and some lady sit down and you take a piece of you, which is your story, and you change her life. Right. And that's what ministry is about.
But we as Christians, we have to get to that point, because when we hold our own testimonies, we're not just out here just, giving it to everybody, but when we know the Holy Spirit is saying she needs a word, she needs to know that, hey, I've been through this, and however he brings you out is going to be different. But when they can see us as living testimonies and looking not like what we've been through,
that's the point.
Looking like not what we've been through, but just saying, my God, if she can be like this and still you preserved her for him, then I want to know who this man is.
That's absolutely right.
I want to know, but how, people, we get saved and so holy, and I'm like, how dare we not share what our Father has brought us through and from, and still continually to do that, and we want to hold on to it for what?
For show, because it's a form. It's still another form of showboating, really, when you think about it. It's like, and I went through that holy, holiness is still right. But I went through that time and that period where it's like, if this person's doing this, I can't be around them, and I can't do this, and I can't. That I went through all of that just to come full circle to an understanding that everywhere that I go, God is. and that his
Everywhere.
eyes are in every place, and that
Yes.
there's always somebody that is within 6 feet of me now, that needs a word or that needs to
Yes.
hear my
Mhm.
story, because
Mhm.
it is for this purpose that I've gone through these things. So when
Right.
people, it's such, I don't know why we get like that. It's like it's almost like when you drive a really nice car and you pass by somebody that's walking, it's like,
Right.
it's almost like that I'm better than you.
Right.
Being saved doesn't mean that we're better than anybody. It means that now we are serving. It means that we
Yes.
have been called
Yes.
to serve. And I think that people look at leadership in the ministry or in the kingdom of God, and they think that it's a place that is only called to lead and drag people to another place and show them the way. And you got to be this and you got to be that. But it's
Right.
really to serve them, to give
Right.
them life application and skills.
Yes.
And that goes back to why what we teach is so important, because it's for the kingdom.
Yes.
I believe that people in the pews need to prosper.
Yes. Yes. Say that
They
again.
need to prosper.
But
They need to
why? Why do we have mentality that the only people in the church that's supposed to prosper, if you will, is the pastors?
You want my truth?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I want
It is narcissism.
Hmm.
It is a narcissistic behavior of man having to be in control, that, and I can tell you this because we've actually experienced it. We sit down with some pastors that say, oh my God, this is great. Got to teach the whole ministry. Got to tell them, got to get them in a place, because they have a clear understanding that if the pews prosper, the pulpit prospers automatically. But then
Right.
you have those that don't want their people to know that. They don't want the people in the pews to have the prosperity, because they keep control over them.
Right. My
And
friend said, she said, man, finally hearing what I've always felt. She said, speak truth.
And it's just the nature of man.
Right.
It's the nature of man to want to control someone else. It's even like taking the word of God and using it to control people and to control their minds and their processes. And that was never God's intention. The Bible clearly states that Christ came that we might have life, and that more abundantly. And how are we going to have it abundantly if we don't bring life application skills into the church? We stand up and we taking up offerings for 20 or 25 minutes because the church has a budget that it needs to meet, without the clear understanding that if the people had the money, they would give it.
Right.
So it's just a narcissistic control. Man wants to, not black man, not white man, not preacher man, but the nature of man, unless he's been delivered or that is not something that he has an issue with, is to put rules and things in place to bring about control. And I think that we've handled the process of leading and serving people and bringing them into order and structure in the church. We've mishandled that. And not everybody, I don't want to get Bible thumped, but not everybody, but some have mishandled that. And because they mishandled that, the people in their church have been in poverty and remain in poverty.
And shouldn't we feel bad if we're in leadership when we don't see our members prosper?
Of course we should. Absolutely. We absolutely should feel like they need something, right? But what they don't need is a handout. They need a hand up.
Right.
They need to understand that they can break the cycle of poverty. They've got to understand that poverty is not God's formula for life. He never intended. How can we be the king's children, but we live like peasants? That was never his intention.
Right. Or you still lacking in areas that you need to be growing.
Right, but I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to give you a word, and I'm going to make you, and I'm going to have you give me your last and everything that you have, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to live nice and not be concerned about the fact that you're hungry. Not every ministry, because I know some beautiful ministries that serve the community, that feed hungry people, all of that. But what we've got to get an understanding of is that it is bigger than just our food banks. We have to break the mindset of poverty off of the people.
Amen. And so let me ask you this. So Do you think, thank you, Lord, do you think if the same way you have Be Free University, that if they had pastors, leaders, had the same concept, is freeing them, teaching them how to be free, how to have a legacy in church for their kids, and the legacy is saying, you know what, this is the principle of how we're supposed to serve God, and then that legacy we will pass on to our children and our grandchildren and their children. If we had the mentality, hey, I need to teach my people how to spiritually be free and out of bondage.
Absolutely. And there's some pastors right there in North Carolina that we work with closely, that have that mindset to teach their congregation how to build wealth, how to build businesses, how to have understanding of what how to have an understanding of what money management is. They're right there, and they're all over the place.
Right, right.
They're few and far between when it comes to the real message.
Right.
You see many of them that are able to prosper. They are surrounded by prosperous people, and those people came out of their pews because they taught them and they raised them up.
Yes. And Lynetta, she said the kicker of that is where some get control. You eventually see them doing the things that they try to put you in bondage to. Not every ministry, but I've seen some. And that's the kicker. And you know, and I'm just going to be honest, if I was a new believer, today, new believer, and if I went to some of these churches and see half of the stuff that go on, I would take my chance on being out in the world. And that's because we have to be careful how we are teaching new believers. Because when they come in, they are truly, truly searching for something, because they're saying, this is my last straw. Because everyone says try Jesus, but you'll try Jesus when you want to, because just like everybody probably told us, give it to the Lord, try him. And I'm like, yep, but I'm not ready right now. But when you decide and you're desperate, when a person is desperate to know the Father, and then they come in and we hurt them, abuse them because we're not teaching them. And then they go back out and they say, well, why should I be in here when you guys are doing the same thing that I'm doing out here? But the difference is, when I'm out here, these people truly love me.
And they don't judge me.
Yes, yes.
and they don't judge me.
Right.
We're all in the same boat, right?
Right, right. And so do you pastor a church, or do you co-pastor a church in Florida?
I do. Okay, listen, y'all pressuring me. I actually work in a ministry here in Fort Lauderdale, Lifeline Christian Fellowship, under the leadership of Bishop Russell C. Bostic. I am executive pastor with him. I was co-pastoring for 15 years with my husband, and when we divorced, I pulled myself back from direct leadership, and I went and submitted myself under another ministry. Okay. But as of right now, 2022, we are in the plans and in the works to launch, because I am being kicked out of the nest. So God is great.
Yes, He is.
We are going to do that. I also work alongside of my spiritual father, Bishop R.C. Blakes Jr. I work with him in ministry as well, and that's what I do. But I have the credentials, all of them. And I'm just literally on Saturday was literally told that it's beyond time. Like, you need to get up and move.
And so it's like the mama kicks the bird out the nest and say, now it's time to see if you can fly. I need you to fly.
The mama put her foot in my back, and she said, it's time for you to fly. And God called you. He told you to do it, so you can't worry about everything else. And she said, I know you're doing marketplace ministry. She's like, and that's awesome, it's needed, but now I need you to marry it and bring your the people that hear your voice, I need you to bring them into one place. And so I hadn't told anybody that, my assistant and one of my greatest friends is on here, and I know she's gonna hold my feet to the fire. But literally ever since Saturday, it's been one person after the other asking me about when I'm going to launch. But I took the last 3 years and I've been building with Mr. Howard, Be Free University. And so I believe that in 2022, sometime in 2022,
Amen.
we are going to launch out into ministry.
And so then we're going to talk about your book. And I love, when I went through your page, I love how you always say it, miracle still happens.
I got that from my great friend in North Carolina, Pastor Anthony Knotts. I have to give people credit for what they say.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But he started that back in the summer, and he called me to preach at his church. And I went to Greensboro to preach at his church, and I realized that he had a revelation that every day miracles still happen. Some of us just waking up is a miracle, right? It's a miracle that we made it through the night. And I just started posting it over and over and over again. And believe it or not, he does the same thing every day. And right now, he and I are probably the only 2 people that I know for sure that do it. But it is an affirmation, knowing, and that's, back to that trust. Right?
Yes.
God, because miracles still happen. I might need a miracle from him right now.
Amen.
But I know, I trust, and I believe that he has the ability, the capability, and the will to do it. And that serves as a reminder. I've had people inbox me and say thank you, because I look for this message every single day. I didn't know what was going to come of it, but that's just every day. It's the first thing that I do, and it's become a part of my mission.
And you just might need T-shirts that says miracle still happens.
You're absolutely right. I need to tell people that miracles still happen.
Because COVID has taken over, and people need to know that God is still in the miracle working business, and your miracle may be small to other people, but for you it's ginormous, because you might be just trying to make it through the day without losing your mind.
Absolutely. And right after God gave me that, my daughter was struck with COVID, and we had a 6-month ordeal. We literally are just coming out of it completely, right? She still has some other things that are going on that need to be handled, but every day I posted that, people had no idea what I was going through. But my oldest daughter was dying in the hospital. She was on a ventilator, and she was pregnant. And so it was a process, but that encouraged me through the process.
Amen. Amen.
It encouraged me through the process. And right before she got sick, and I'll let you shift the subject, but right before she got sick, the Lord gave me another acronym, and it's PUSH. Most people say pray until something happens, right? We all done heard that, right?
Right.
But the Lord began to deal with me about the mustard seed. And and right before my daughter got sick, he said, pick up something heavier.
Jesus.
And what he said to me was that it's all right to have a mustard seed of faith.
Amen.
That's good. But I need you to pick up something heavier. Not knowing that he was getting ready to challenge my faith in every way possible.
Yes.
Not knowing that every day was going to be a challenge. Pick up something heavier became the message. And that has been a message that I have told people every time I've been interviewed, every message that I preach, New Year's, every message that I preach. Always remember that the mustard seed, that's good, but that was just an example of the amount of faith that it takes for God to move. But you got to pick up something heavier if you want to see miracles still happen. And that's the and that also can go with the trust. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in. But that's the challenge. When we pick up something heavier, then that's the trust. Our trust level have to go to another level. That's it. Because when we're looking for miracles to still happen, we can't trust him like a mustard seed. We're going to have to trust him wholeheartedly. And then that leads into your post on the 11th, and it just ties right in it. And you said you will go through things. Sometimes you will be coming out of a storm, and another one is right there. Trust and believe is not
to wear you down, but rather to make you understand that God is your source, your shield, and your protection. Psalms 91. No one can rescue you in these moments. You have to stand. You may be leaning on him, but you're standing. Keep leaning and trusting. You're coming through it. It's all the price of your oil.
That's it.
I was
Those
like,
are
wow. I was
Those
like,
words. And
and it's hard because, like I said, even through my own life challenges, I knew I had to totally trust him and lean on him, because when you know you have a calling on your life and you try to run from it, and that's what I did. I'm telling you, girl, I ran. And, you know, and I tell people I had a calling from the day my mom conceived me, because Satan tried to take me out during birth, before I was even born. And I knew, and I ran and I ran and I ran. And I know that's why I was going through so much hell, because I'm like, no, I don't want that part. And so my late husband used to always say, when are you going to be in the ministry? I was like, boy, bye. We ain't going to do that, right? but in his death, Rashida, is where I found my level of faith even the more. I found my level of trust in him even the more. I found my level of confidence in him even the more. Because like I said, if he has chosen me for whatever area of ministry he wants me, I told him, I will serve you. I will do it. But you, I say, Lord, you have to teach me. And
That's
when
it.
he teaches us, we'll be good. We'll do what he needs us to do. But I couldn't allow man to teach me, and he had to separate me. He had to put me in my own separation, and that's
Won't he do it?
That's a lonely place when you're separated and you're like, okay, Lord, like, you know, I want to do this, but he held me separated.
That's absolutely right. And I tell people, even with my experience that I'm just coming through with my daughter, it was me and her.
Yes.
And before it was me and her, it was her and the Lord. And there was nothing, there was absolutely nothing that I could do other than pray. Right. And talk to the doctors and the nurses. There was nothing I could do. Mm-hmm. And that literally has put my trust in him on another level. Right. And that's where we have to get to, Donna, yes. Right? We get in the midst of that storm and we understand that he's in there with us. Mm-hmm. And we're going through it, but he's challenging our faith and making sure that we understand that there's going to be times that there's nothing you can do. Nothing. The only thing you can do is continue to trust him. And unfortunately for us, it takes us getting in those moments to learn that trust. It really does. Life's challenges, you know, it takes us getting there to learn to trust him. And it's sad, but the truth of the matter is that it's when we are down to no other option. And we can't call on nobody. Can't call nobody. And the funny thing is, nobody won't even be available when you call it. You know, girl, listen, you better tell it. Yes, when you're texting, calling, nobody is there. And he's like, well, you can call whoever, but right now, I got you where you need to be. And that's what I had to learn, even in my wilderness. It didn't feel good. He showed me who I was. Even in my wilderness, I had to let some things go, some people go. And I'm telling you, once I did, it's like, bam, he started showing himself mighty. And I was like, whoa, wait. And I know, because you know that conviction that's in your heart, but you try to be like, nah, he ain't talking to me. You know, but when I allowed myself to let all those things go and people go that I was connected with that I should not have been, he started showing himself mighty. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle because you know when he started removing stuff, how they can appear, and then you want those things again. That's it. And you go through an uncomfortable place. Let me encourage somebody about that wilderness place as well. Because going through that process with my daughter, once I was allowed to go into, she's active military, and once I was allowed to go into the Naval Hospital and be with her, it was just me and her for the next 30 some days. And
Right.
and for me, they sent us to Portsmouth, Virginia. I didn't know anybody.
Right.
I was walking and staying in a home that they set up for military families. It was a lonely, lonely place, right?
Yes. Yes.
Could, you know, it was a lonely place, but you learn who is in your corner.
Mm-hmm.
God will separate you. He will move the people that are not
Mhm.
for you. I don't care
Yes.
what it looks like or how they,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
you know, it wasn't me, she did, or whatever. When
Yes.
God starts shaking people off, you just learn who you are. But I want to encourage somebody that might be
Yes.
in the wilderness place right now. I want you to understand that kings and queens are made in the wilderness.
Mm.
It was not
Mm.
until David got in the wilderness was God able to make him a king. Was he able to make him who he is? So you've got to understand
Yes.
that in that wilderness state, God is making you into who he's called you to be. And it's
Yeah.
not a comfortable place. But there's no comfort in birth.
No. No. No.
There's no comfort in birth. That's why there's no comfort in change. There's no
Nope.
comfort in
Right.
getting to the place that God desires for you to be.
Amen. And so now we get into your book, 26 Days of Affirmation.
Okay, I was
Over
about to
Your
say
Neck.
which book.
I just
I didn't
saw
know
that.
which one you had. I didn't
So-
know which one you had.
So how many books have you written?
I have authored. I've done 2 books of my own, and the very first one I published in 2015. That was
Mhm.
Empowered by His Purpose.
Mhm.
And then I published 26 Days of Affirmation, and then I'm an author on an anthropology, What to Do While You're Waiting, and that's a singles book. And so I do, yeah, those are. So I didn't know which one we were going to be talking about, but that's a good one because we're in the love season.
Yes, yes. And so this is more like a journal, correct?
Yes.
And
It's a journal.
so when you wrote this, did you intend for it to be for couples, or could singles still do it?
I wrote the book for a specific reason. Did not plan to publish it. Okay.
Right.
I was dating someone at the time, and he's a very interesting person, right? Somebody that I still love dearly.
Right.
And I felt like as a Black man that we do not pour into them
Right.
enough.
Right. Right.
And so the Lord gave me this thing, and he was like, 26 days. People were like, why 26 days? Because it's every letter of the alphabet.
Oh.
So for 26 days straight, at midnight, I would text him. But the 5 words you see there, and a prayer. This is what I think of you today. And I went through that all the way up to Z. And when I got it done, I was talking to one of my coaches, and she was like, Pastor Rashida, you got to publish this. And so it is intended for singles who are waiting to understand how to encourage, how to pour into, and how to pray for your mate.
Right.
And it's made for couples to each have that journal, go through it together for 26 days, and then exchange it.
Wow.
I believe that it's a powerful exchange when you can take an hour a day.
Yes.
Or some people might not take them that long, and you can sit
Right.
down. I'm giving you 5 keywords.
Right.
I'm giving you a prayer, and then you take that space to write a love letter to your future spouse, or to your spouse, or your significant other. That was really what it was birthed out of.
And some of your reviews, one lady, she said it helps her marriage. She said, I thank God for this book. It's allowing me to really look at my mate differently. The book really helped me with my marriage. And that's so profound, because a lot of times we don't know how to love our spouse or our significant others. And that's like I did a segment yesterday on part 2, knowing the love language. When we know our love language, and then we take your book, then you can see, because we need to know what makes them tick.
We absolutely do. And I love the 5 love languages. I think that every couple should do that process as well. And in my journal, it's meant for you to spend those 26 days looking at your mate, and then let them know what you think of them. I've had people that have been married buku's years, like
Right.
30 and 40 years, that forgot to tell their mate how they think of them or how they view them. And this
Wow.
book literally takes you through a journey
Right.
of self-discovery and also rediscovery of why are you with this person.
Right,
What is the
right,
purpose,
right.
for it is, and I think it's a powerful exercise, and it is a beautiful thing to be able to tell somebody
Mhm.
how you really feel and what
Absolutely.
you're thinking of them. And it's been a very special journey, as I have received messages from people that have used it in their marriages and their relationships.
And do you find that, like you said, we get so caught up in, men's supposed to take care of this, but as you stated, we have to start lifting our men up, no matter what race it is, and stop just saying, oh yeah, he provides. But is he providing something for you spiritually, emotionally, and are you providing those same things? Just saying, and stop saying, oh yeah, he's a great provider. But what is his favorite color? What do he
Right.
like to do?
Yes. And our relationships deserve, or our relationships need reciprocity. I believe that 100%.
Yes. Yes.
Talk about roles, and I don't even want to get into that role conversation, but when we're I don't, because that's reserved for married people. Y'all have, God
Right.
gave y'all specific
Right.
instructions, right? And people take it on while they're dating and then try to apply it, and you're applying a biblical principle that's meant for marriage, and that's usually why some of us are still single. And it's
Exactly.
okay to be single. It's all
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But we've got to reciprocate. Love is what
Exactly.
it does. It's what it does. We all gonna have, like you said, if you love me, you can love me through my faults, through all of the
Yes.
You gotta understand that you're loving an imperfect human,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If we're going to do that, we're going to truly do that, we
Right.
have to have a mindset
Mhm.
that says, I'm going to reciprocate love. The young people call it energy. I'm going to exchange the same energy,
Right.
you exchange. And that's really what they're talking about, is the reciprocity. And
Mhm.
I believe that if you are treated fairly, if you are giving opportunity, if you have a provider, that
Right.
you need to know how to pour back into him. And it's not just the like you said, it's not just the Black man, it's every man. If
Yes.
he's doing something great, cheer him on.
Exactly.
Say thank you. And I think that in our mind that we've been programmed to think about responsibility and roles, and so
Mhm.
we take it for granted.
Yes.
But if we want to have positive, healthy relationships, we need to learn to communicate with each other positively, and not only on the holidays or when things are great.
Right.
But we have to have those open moments of communication. I want to be
Amen.
told I'm beautiful when I don't have my hair done and my makeup on.
Girl, bye. Yes, Lord. And so, with that being said, we're going into, you did a documentary with Dr. Terrence Graham.
Yes.
And so how did that come about, and were you at a place that you were able to fully divulge and just be who you are without feeling, if you was going to feel ashamed, like we were saying earlier, and not people holding you to like, oh, wow, I didn't know. So how did you feel when you was doing your documentary? Were you at a healing place, or were you already healed?
Healing is a process. I think that
Right.
I'm still going through a healing process, so I don't want to take and say that I'm healed. I don't think
Right.
The only time we should even say that is if we got a wound that's healed on the outside and the inside,
Yes.
right? Physically.
Amen. Yes.
But going through life challenges and processes, we are in a continual, perpetual process of healing. But when Dr. Graham reached out to me, first of all, we're from the same place and have never met each other, had never encountered each other. We're from the same little county, the same little area.
Wow.
Went to and graduated from the same high school.
Right.
And some of his cousins are my cousins, some of his family are my classmates.
Wow.
And so he was really easy to talk to, because I know I'm talking to somebody from home, right? And we're always put in a place of comfort with that. He was not a stranger to me, but I was in a place that I could share the totality of my story. But if you watch Dumpster Diving, you will find that he shined a very different light on me in that documentary. He actually opened it with me and he ended it with me. And it was really putting me in a place of motivating and encouraging people through the process of time. I'm in there, you know, he's inserted, I'm in there in different places, but I'm always bringing it back to a word of encouragement and understanding of how we should function and work in relationships. He did sit down and he listened to my story. But my story, I think he was more driven as a director to put that light on me in a place of motivating and challenging people with different aspects of relationships. Because even though I've been married, I've been divorced, I was a teenage parent, I came from a little town with 2 stoplights, 1 blanks at 8:30. Just because of all of those things that people would see as obstacles, I still believe that you can accomplish great things.
You can do
great things. And so with that, that's how it came about. Dr. Graham and I were introduced by one of our mutual friends. And I don't know what Lamont Dixon said to him, but he must have told him something amazing, and he connected me with him. And I'm on this journey with him, and I'm excited about it because I do believe that his messages, with an S, are changing lives. And so it was a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to what's next, but I also love being in the place of encouraging people and motivating them because I believe in love. I'm a hopeless romantic.
Me too, girl.
I believe that nobody is an exception when it comes to being loved, giving love, and receiving love. And relationships are so vitally important in every aspect of our lives.
Every aspect. And, you know, when I watched the documentary, what, you know, really stood out, the women stood out too, but it was men, professional men, being able to be honest, open, and transparent and tell their story. He said you were amazing and a superstar. And that, you know, and that's what I like. I like the whole documentary. But for me to see men, especially African American men, professional men, able to be honest about their shortcomings and their life challenges, because we don't see that. Because as we stated before, we teach men they're supposed to be tough, they're supposed to be macho. But the same God that created you and I, he gave them the same feelings as well. And we have to be able to acknowledge when our spouses or our significant others are hurting, instead of saying, oh, you a man, shake it off.
That's our culture, and we gotta break it. And that's what I love. What I'm saying? That's what I love about Dr. Graham and about his messages through cycles, like the messages that he's bringing. And I'm glad you said that, because it is so powerful to have our men be able to express themselves. It's so powerful to have them in a place of mental healthiness, right? And able to express themselves. And I believe that there is nothing more powerful than a man that can express his emotions and his feelings, that can be in touch with himself, who he is as a man and who he is spiritually. And we've got to encourage that. And so that goes back to my reasoning for writing that book. At the time, I was seeing someone and I felt like, you know, everybody was pulling on him from every direction. Every direction to think of. People were pulling on him, depending on him, needing him to do this, do that, but nobody was pouring. Nobody was pouring. And so I was led to pour. And so I believe that Dr. Graham has a unique opportunity, and he has a unique ability and vision to pull the men into a place of vulnerability that makes us trust them again. And we need to trust our men. We need to trust them. When they really expect vulnerability from us, but when they can be vulnerable, we can take these relationships to another level.
We can take them to another level. And, you know, and I encourage, you know, ladies, if you have young sons, teach them it is okay to cry. If you're hurting, cry. And that's what I used to tell my boys when they fall and scrape their knee and they're crying. Hey, you okay? Yes. If you're crying, cry, because you can't make them die to their feelings, because when they get married, they're not going to know how to express how they feel to their wives. They're not going to be able to teach their sons how to, it's okay to be sensitive. Only because you're sensitive doesn't mean that you're not a man.
That's correct.
I want to be with someone that can feel, if you're hurting and you let a tear drop, hey, what can I do for you?
And I'm just going to venture to say this. I just have to be transparent. Got to be who I am. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
But we as a culture have to do better with mental health, right. And we have to do better with how we train our children, because even not only our males, but our culture in general, we're taught to not, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Yes.
And, you don't talk about it.
Yes.
And dealing with having being raised in a very strong female household.
Right.
I can only recount one time that my grandmother ever cried. My mother is not a crier like these. We're not criers. And so as I was going through therapy, my therapist had to tell me, yes, have Jesus and therapy, number one.
Right.
It's okay to have Jesus and to have therapy. And no, your pastor is not the therapist. Go to a therapist.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Get some help. Okay.
Right.
But my therapist had to tell me that crying is okay.
Right.
This is all, and I tell you that God is infinite in his wisdom, Donna, infinite. This is all before my daughter got ill.
Right.
I had to know that it was okay for me to cry. Amen. My head would have exploded.
Yes.
My head would have exploded.
Yes.
I learned that it is absolutely okay. It's all right for me to express my emotions through tears. And now for the last 6 months, I've had been told to stop crying because I've been crying about everything. Like, but I had to break that mental bond that said that it was not okay to cry. And our sons and our daughters both need to know that. Although my children, my son and my daughters, my sons and my daughters all know that I'm very strong, that I'm very forward with that, and they will rarely see tears. They have to know it is absolutely okay. So I agree with that 100%.
Yes. And so in our closing, what are some things you can say to our viewers to just encourage them just in life, even when they're in their season of wilderness, not understanding?
Well, you said it in the beginning, and I think that, like I said, I believe that the topic that you brought about tonight was profound and it was prophetic, meaning that it is gone out before its time, and it's going out before the people, because you talked about trust, and trust in this pandemic era is something that we have to regain.
Right.
We have to regain our trust in the Savior. Yes. We have to regain our trust in each other. Yes. We've got to regain our trust in our relationships, because we've got to stick together. So what I want everyone to know is that all hope is not lost. It does not matter what you're going through, just as my statement was made a couple of days ago. You may be going through a storm, but storms, they end. They don't always last. And on the other side of them, the sun shines. Yes. The sun shines. And when you get on the other side of that storm, tell somebody what you've gone through, because it's going to pull them through that storm when it appears in their lives. Understand that sometimes you're going to be in a by yourself place. Yes. People call it the wilderness. They call it a lonely place. But in those times that you're by yourself, still away, trust the Lord. And in those times is when you can hear his voice clearly. It's not your gut. It's not your intuition. It's the voice of the Lord telling you which direction to go. Amen. So cherish the moments when you are alone, when you are by yourself, and it is just you and him. Be encouraged in this season, because we are just walking out this life that was assigned for us. We have seen more than any generation alive, but that is because God knew that he could trust us. Yes. Right? With the message, and that we would tell as many people as possible. Whatever your dream is, dream bigger, trust bigger, pick up something heavier, because miracles still happen.
Yes, I received that totally for myself as well. I'm just thankful. I'm just truly grateful and thankful.
Thank you
Just,
so much.
just to have the privilege to meet you and just dialogue, because like I said, at the end of the day, we want people delivered. We want people healed. We want people whole. And if your story can help heal and help people come out of bondage, then hey, we've done what we're supposed to do. We can't save them all, but if we can encourage one person and they say, God, I need this, I need you, then we've done what we need to do, you know? And I'm just grateful. And, Dr. Terrence, thank you for recommending her. Truly, truly, it's a blessing and an honor. And I like your energy. I just like how we vibe and connected, because like I said, I am a people person. I'm truly a people person. I love people, and I want to see everybody win. I want everybody to be happy and whole. But in order for us to do that, we have to trust the Father.
That's right. So thank you so much for having me, allowing me to grace your platform.
And look, I know it's probably warm where you at, so send some warmth back. Send us some warm weather back this way.
Now listen, I live there, so I know that y'all will be 70, 78 one day and 58 the next.
Yes, girl.
But it is absolutely, it is warm here. It's actually, it's a little tepid in my house right now.
Well, thank you so much
for having me,
blessed. And let me know when you start your own ministry. But I just wish you all the blessings.
Absolutely. We'll keep you guys posted. We're going to be starting some online things in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, I had not exposed that. So you heard it first here on the
and I'm so grateful, because sometimes I hear a lot of first and I'm like, yes, Lord, thank you. But I don't take it for granted. I stay humble. I'm just doing what he's called me to do. And this is the platform and the way he wants me to do it. And so as long as I'm pleasing to him, I'm good.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
It was a pleasure to meet you, and you have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week and have an amazing weekend.
Thank you so much. God bless. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Rashida Jackson. Guys, if you just now tuning in, go back and watch the replay. Thank each and every one of you for just tuning in to Hot Topics with Donna here live on DTV. I'm so grateful every time I have a guest that can come on and be honest, open, and transparent and share their life experiences, life challenges, but also share what God is doing in their lives. And as you know, here on Hot Topics with Donna, we interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their communities. And on tomorrow, I will have another guest, and I will be posting the flyer up tonight when I finish this live. Also on February 22nd will be my 1-year anniversary that we here at Hot Topics with Donna have been going live doing interviews. So for that, I'm thankful for all my previous guests, all my future guests. And if you have a story that you want to tell, just reach out to us and just say, hey, I have a story I want to tell. And we will be so grateful to have you on this platform. And so on the 25th, the 22nd, excuse me, like I told you, this is another glass that I have with Donna TV, DTV, Donna Taylor Network, and I will be giving some items away. Like I stated last night, I would do coffee cups, mugs, wine glasses, and glasses like this. And so I will be playing some games, and we're just going to have fun. I will have a guest, and we're just going to have some fun. And I want to gift you with one of our products that we're going to be coming out with. But until tomorrow, if God's willing, if he see fit to allow us to see another day, let's just remember to thank him and be grateful. And as Dr. Rashida Jackson says, miracles still happen. So whatever your miracle is, make it known to the Father. And remember, it's okay to be in your season of loneliness or in the wilderness, but you cannot quit. You cannot quit. You have to trust the process. And in the process, when you come out, you're going to be whole, you're going to be happy, you're going to be healthy. So until tomorrow, guys, I love you. Sleep well, and we will be back here tomorrow at 6:30 with another episode of Donna Taylor of Hot Topics with Donna. And I am your host, Donna Taylor. And with that being said, good night.